So let's take a look at hijacking cookies with cross-site scripting, and arguably this is one of the most prominent session hijacking attacks that you will see in a moment. It is exceptionally easy. So here is what we're going to do. So we'll use a local website and we're going to see a reflected cross-site scripting attack. So let me show you an execution of the attack, and I will talk through how it actually works in this slide. So what normally happens with the reflected access attack is a malicious link is socialized by the attacker. Now just so that I have taken a screenshot of a tweet, and this tweet does look kind of intriguing. So this guy thought he's saying, oh nice, check this out, it must be something interesting. Now the link looks okay, it's a site that I know and trust, local to Hack Yourself First or troyhunt.com. Yes, that is something off at the end, because after the at the end you can see only the 3 dot, not the full website. So we really cannot see the actual URL. So let's go to this website and see what happens. And here we go. It looks just a search page, and in fact this search page is saying nothing interesting to see here at all. However, the attacker has stolen my session ID. So how did this happen? Well, there is a little bit of an indicator on the screen here, as you can see on the left side. I marked it so that I can illustrate the mechanism. So you will see toward the left hand side there is a broken image. So if you click to the broken image, and or you can just inspect the element, then you will see this. So what we will see now is the image source of a attacker.com, and then a query string of cookies equal, and then a session ID equal, and here is my session ID 1004756, and that is the session ID that we just saw in the other tab or other page. Then let me show you how the attacker can use the session. So data hijack the session and the comeback, and we will look the mechanism of how the the attack actually worked. So let's look at the URL that you previously saw on the Twitter, and here's what happened. So when we look the search item at the address bar, we can see that the value of a search item that actually quite a bit of content in it. Now as you can see on the notepad, if you paste the full URL, you are seeing a very basic reflected cross-site scripting attack, and I'm going to talk about only briefly here. So the JavaScript is declared an image that I'm seeing the source of that image to attack passing, a query stream with the name that is cookies, and the value in the document is .cookies. So actually what happening here is that when you skip the run at the browser, it's getting the cookie and it's appending that the attacker.com URL, and it's setting that as a source of that image. So you can see here where the image actually gets appended to the document body. So you can see here document body, and that's why we saw a broken image in the browser, because there is no image at attacker.com. but this doesn't matter because my cookies have still been sent off there to check in a request. So last little bit of jQuery script here is just simply to make sure that the h2 heading has a little bit of text. which there is nothing interesting to see here at all. If I didn't do that, we would actually see the search item, which looks a little bit suspicious. Now the reason why your work is evident once you view the source code of this page, as you can see in this here. So from the source, at the end you can see that the entire attack payload here actually appears. So that is everything that was in the URL, and really what we are looking at here is a classic reflected cross-site scripting attack, and in fact it is very vulnerability that demonstrate and explain detail. So the important thing here is to like easy session hijacking attack. So let's take a look at this and how it really works. So let's break this attack down in a nice simple way. So we had an attacker, and the attacker shared a malicious URL with an XSS payload. So that's what I did by Twitter. That was the tweet that had a malicious query string in it. Now the user and the victim was already authenticated, and they followed the link with the access payload. Now when the application received the request, it reflects the malicious payload. So it wrote it to the page, and it embedded it in the page. And of course what was embedded was a request to the attacker with the cookies, so that the code loaded up with the user browser, and of course it is the user's browser that has the session ID cookie. So that consequently caused the browser, and which makes a request to the attacker with the session ID. And that was all it was. It was a very rudimentary cross-site scripting attack, but that all it took to get the session ID. Now this is a reflected access. It could also have been a persistent access, so that is cross-site scripting, which is actually stored in the database, so that everybody sees it when they come to the site, and it doesn't have to be reflected by malicious URL like we demonstrated previously. So we wouldn't have to use Twitter, email or any other channel to socialize the link, because the attacker is persistent on the database. So again, there is a style of attack that I go into the details in the attack. So once the attacker can start to run the arbitrary script in the victim's browser, they can have the opportunity to hijack the session cookies. Now there are the defenses against these types of multiple defense, and I'll talk about this in the later. And narrow this is a great demonstration of just how easy session hijacking can be. That's what I just demonstrated in this slide.